Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UkeStuff Podcast. Today, I'm bringing you a bunch of friends, what I would call the mega show of many of the creators of the ukulele playlongs that you see. So here is the crew. So what I'd like to do is to go, this way and have you introduce yourself. So we'll kind of go, what I'm seeing is clockwise on my screen, and we'll go around and have everybody introduce yourselves. And just to help us out, I made a little banner that I can throw in here. Who are you? What's your musical background? Where do you teach? And where do we find you?
Hey, everybody. My name is Daniel Simmons, and I teach middle school band, middle school general music, middle school ukulele, middle school adaptive music. I have taught elementary and high school in the past. I have taught choir in the past, and I have done some music theater in the past. So I've got a little bit of everything for the experience. You can find me at youtube.com/Daniel Simmons. I have the least creative name of everybody here when it comes to my YouTube channel. And when you get to my channel, it is not just a ukulele channel. You will find everything that my students use there. Boomwhacker play-alongs, handbell play-alongs, stuff about trumpet embouchure and flute head joints, and obviously a lot of ukulele play-alongs. But it's definitely a diverse collection of videos there for all the students that I teach. And I am from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, now formerly lived up in Canada and upstate New York. Thank you.
I'm Andy Ramos. I'm from Houston, Texas. I teach middle school choir, ukulele, and piano. On my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Andy Ramos. Been teaching, I believe this is my 15th year. Did elementary for several years and now doing middle school, enjoying that a lot. Working with the older kids, getting to do a little more than I was doing in elementary, but really enjoying my time with them this year and the last couple of years.
Shemai, I'm Rachel Webley. I teach secondary school music in South Wales, so that's 11 to 16-year-olds. I started a ukulele club in school a few years ago called the Ukulaliens. So you can find me at the Ukulalian channel with the play-alongs. My website is ukelele.wales, and my other channel is Ukulele.wales, and I'm addicted.
Hi, everybody. My name is Wesley Stevenson, and I am a full-time music educator. I teach privately mainly. I did venture out into teaching at private schools last year, but I prefer teaching privately. I think it gives me a little more freedom. Recently, I started a kids ukulele group called Four Finger Frenzy, and basically, my wife and I partnered with the local libraries. So I pretty much go from library to library throughout Virginia and just offer free classes to the community. And I started a adult version of that called the Tidewater Ukulele Experience. And if I'm not teaching ukulele or piano or guitar, I'm writing music for different video games or playing for my church. So you can find me mainly on YouTube at Music with Moustro or at Facebook at the Tidewater Ukulele Experience.
Okay, I can't hear anybody talking, so I think it's my turn. My name is Kris Gilbert, and I've been teaching for 23 years, and I teach in upstate New York in a district called Whitney Point, which is south of Syracuse, north of Binghamton, and I teach 6th grade band and 7th and 8th grade modern band and music technology, which also includes heavy emphasis in the ukulele. And I can be found on YouTube as Kris the Uke Chick Gilbert. It's as cheesy as it gets.
All right. So I'm going to ask the next question just so we get an idea. I know Rachel and I have talked about this. I think Andy and I have talked about this. Kris, I can't remember when we met if we talked about it. But how did you start with ukulele? And let's go the other way around. So we'll start with Kris right there.
Okay, I think it was in the fall of 2016 when Grace Vanderwall won America's Got Talent. And all of a sudden I had all these students coming to my room asking me if I could teach them to play ukulele because they had seen her win and wanted to play and be like her. And I had no idea because I hadn't touched a string instrument in my life except for the bass guitar. And I felt bad as a teacher, so I decided to go out and buy a ukulele. My first one I bought was a Cordova Protege, and I decided I'll try a few things, and then maybe I can try and stay a few steps ahead. And I fell in love with it. And the rest is history. I put together a proposal for my school to purchase a class set of ukuleles, and they did that. And so that's how I got started.
Yeah, and my story is similar to Kris's. I had a student of mine who I was teaching piano, and the parents was like, you know what? Do you teach ukulele? Because my son really wants to learn ukulele too. And hopefully my students don't hear this, because this is not the best story. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, how hard can this be? You know, it's not even a real instrument. Okay, I'll just, try it for like a week. But yeah, I tried it for a week, and then it turned into 2 weeks, and then it turned into a month. And I was like, you know what? This is a pretty cool instrument. So it was finally a month into the whole process, and I was finally ready to teach that student. But the parent was like, you know what? We thought about it, and we're going to hold off on ukulele. So I was pretty upset, because I had invested, a whole month studying this instrument to teach this kid. And at first I felt like that time was wasted, but I was like, you know what? I had so much fun learning this. I'm gonna see if I can learn a little more, and then a little more. And then, I just got overwhelmed with this humble little instrument. And ever since then, I have been teaching ukulele. And, that was about maybe 10 years ago. And to this day, it's a big percentage of my business. So I'm glad I stuck with it.
I'm a bass player, or double bass player, and cello to start with. And I bought a ukulele maybe 7 or 8 years ago because some of the kids in school had them, like other teachers, and didn't really do much with it, to be honest. For a while, they used to sit in the corridor strumming away, and I pick it up and not do anything. But 2016, one of the girls in my form class in school was actually a really good ukulele player. So I said, look, if you help me and I start a club, and I'll start to learn. And that's literally how it started. She taught me the basics. I got on YouTube, followed the videos as everybody else, and very quickly learned how to play uke. But I can't play guitar. So chords were quite new to me, but plus I found bass ukulele now as well. But yeah, no, absolutely love it now. It really is. It's my first instrument. Don't tell the bass kids that though.
I was fortunate my first year teaching. We got a real big sizable grant at my school. It was like over $20,000 for fine arts, and I was the only fine arts teacher, so I didn't have to share the money. But we didn't have anything. So I ended up buying everything I needed for my classroom. And then the second year, they came back with like another $12,000 grant. And so, struggling, I said, you know what, I'm going to buy some ukuleles for my classroom. And that's kind of how it started. And then I started making the videos, trying to get just resources for, the students in elementary, just trying to find different things for them to do. And so that's kind of how I started with the ukulele.
So this is going to sound cheesy like a tourist, but I had never played one. And I was visiting Hawaii 5 years ago with the family, and I wanted to try one. So I looked up an app on my phone, taught myself, a few chords, mentally practiced, and I went into the gift shop. And I said to the person working, is it okay if I try the ukulele? And they were like, okay, sure, go ahead. So I went over, and I'd decided what song I was going to try to play and everything. And I memorized the chords. So I went over and I played the song, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And the guy's like, yeah, a lot of people like them. You're pretty good at it. I'm like, I've never played one before. Of course, the person did not believe me. But that's how I started with ukulele. I came home from the vacation, and I didn't have space in my luggage to bring one with me, but I came home from the vacation and got one and got another one and got another one and got a different type and got a different size and got an electric one and well, you get the idea. It's a bit of an addiction once you fall in love with the instrument. So I started a class teaching it at school after that, and just loving the time playing the ukulele.
Now, this is a perfect segue with Dan. One of the big questions right now is how COVID-19 is impacting you professionally and in this hobby of ukulele. So, Dan, I know you've been doing a lot, so this is a perfect segue to you talking about that. So we'll go this way back to Dan again on this question.
Did you want to answer the last question yourself?
Oh no, everybody knows me. This is my podcast, so I've talked about that ad nauseum. So you guys are the ones of people of interest here.
Okay. So I learned how to make these videos with feedback from the other people on the screen here. I didn't know how to make videos. I was teaching ukulele and doing it a little bit the old-fashioned way, and then I found these videos online, and these are the people that I'm now sitting talking with, and they helped guide me and get started. And my first ones were pretty rough. They were gentle in telling me what definitely needed to be fixed. But then I took that skill set and I applied it to make boom whacker videos, handbell videos, and I still make videos for all the instruments that we use at school. But most recently, as we've gone virtual school, I've gone right into doing virtual bands. And I had somebody from the local hospital contact me, and they were like, we know that you're a key musician here in town and the morale is low in the hospital. What are some things that we could do? And we brainstormed together, and I decided I was going to pull together, just a group of musicians. And the project, as some projects do, definitely got really big. Ended up with almost 100 musicians involved, including Wesley that's here today on the chat. He played piano for one of the songs. And we basically did a mini concert with virtual bands and these great songs with great messages thanking the healthcare workers. So I've finished that project. I was doing some school projects. We put out Pomp and Circumstance so that the kids graduating our school will have their own band playing for them and things like that. But I was feeling a little guilty that I only had covered the healthcare workers, and I wanted to do something for all essential staff. So all these people that are out working, I came up with a song. It's an old song by Ray Boltz called Thank You, and I rewrote the lyrics. And I sought help from my friends. And Rachel, one of the people here talking about bass, also volunteered to play with that one. That one ended up having 98 people involved in it. That included the visual artist and the dancers and obviously the musicians. And that included one segment with people from my ukulele club here in town that I run. But it was just really great to see how music could bring people together. And I was able to use the skills that started right here with the ukulele videos that I still make, but it expanded into so much more.
Well, for me, a lot of the stuff has really affected me. I was doing like a senior club once a month with a lot of senior citizens, and that kind of had to stop. My school stuff, a lot of it has really stopped during this time. The students are just so busy with all their other stuff. I'm trying to keep my school stuff pretty simple, and they don't have ukuleles. And so all my ukuleles are at school. And we were just kind of caught off guard. It was the Thursday before spring break, and the students had gone home. I had told them on Friday we check out ukuleles for them to take home during spring break, and then we've never been back. So my students don't have the ukuleles, but I have been doing a lot of technology stuff with my school. I've been trying to train teachers on how to use all the Google products. Got Google certified. Teaching them how to use Flipgrid and how to edit videos. We've been making videos. So I've done a lot of technology stuff. I just haven't been able to do a lot of musical stuff other than with my church.
Well, technically, I'm still in work. I'm going in once a week, generally on a rota, to look after the children of the care workers and frontline staff and everybody. So I'm doing that. Plus, we're having to put work online. But I've sort of put a team together of all my ukulele players in school. So I'm trying to keep in touch with them a little bit. In terms of the day we broke up, I said, right, that is it. I'm going YouTube mad. So I've been making stacks of videos for Ukulali.wales and trying to do as many play-alongs as possible. So just trying to make the best of it. But I'm sure you guys have noticed as well, viewing figures on the channels have gone berserk during this lockdown. So I'm just glad that we're sort of helping people get through this as well.
Yeah, well, I have been pretty much devastated. You know, I can't really candy coat it. Yeah, I have a studio of 60 students, but it's down to like 29 now. So over half of my students are not attending lessons regularly. So yeah, I've been hit pretty hard with that, which, you know, has given me time to really devote to making more YouTube videos. So that's been a blessing. But yeah, I have been greatly impacted by the presence of COVID-19. So I'm hoping that this pandemic will do its thing and then run its course so we can get back to, you know, the business of teaching music.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as Andy, and all of our instruments are at school in terms of ukuleles and guitars. None of them are home with any kids. So I've had to, and I still do music technology with them, so I've had to flip that a little bit in the classroom. And so that's affected that in the sense that my fourth quarter students, my second half of the eighth graders, haven't and won't be getting any ukulele instruction this quarter during their last year in middle school, which is a bummer, but I'm trying to find some other ways to keep them engaged. And also, I had just started getting back into making some more videos. I put that on a little bit of a hiatus because I'm working on my CAS in college teaching and was pretty bogged down with work for that. And I was just in the process of getting more videos out there when this all struck. And I'm hoping that now that things have kind of fallen into more of a routine in this fourth quarter, that I can start doing that again, because I actually really enjoy making them. And I've been looking into, and I've also made modern band play-alongs where you see the chart for guitar, bass, keys, and drums, and ukulele sometimes. And because of that's a huge part of my curriculum, and I've enjoyed making those as well. But I'm also looking into how to reach my band students and making play-along videos that also have like the fingering charts on there, but it like does the fingering chart along with them, kind of like a chord changing. So I'm looking and experimenting with how I could potentially use that to help my emerging players. So I'm hoping to get back at it on short order because it does bring me a lot of joy.
All right, now let's talk a little technical aspects before we go anywhere else. I know most of the answers for most of you, except for Wesley. Wesley is really, to me, the newest person doing this of us, which is great. And also with a little different spin, no pun intended, on how you do it. If you've seen his videos, and you can talk about that. So my next questions are: what is your video creation process? I mean, really, you don't have to. I made a 6-part video that ended up being like 6 hours long of how I make videos. So I'm not talking like that, but just a real quick summary of how you do it. What app you use or what hardware you use, and then how do you find your songs or choose what you want to do next? And we'll start with Kris.
Okay. I started with good old PowerPoint and iMovie. That's how I started. And I graduated, so to speak, from that and started digging into a little more advanced software. I started using Filmora, which I thought was working pretty well, and I paid some for it, not a ton, but I paid some for it, one of the cheaper versions. And I still like Filmora for some things. And basically, I take apart if it's a song, if it's like a 4-chord song, I'll just take a snapshot of the 4 chords and line them up on a chart, and then just move the overlay or the arrow or whatever PNG picture, like a piece of cake or a guitar or whatever, and I'll move it that way. If it's just a 4-chord song over and over, but if there's a couple of changes, I'll set those up in PowerPoint, export them as JPEGs, drop them in, and then drop in the indicators over that. But recently I started playing around with Final Cut Pro when I made my virtual ukulele ensemble, and it's like iMovie plus. It's free right now for 90 days, and somebody blessed me with my own copy, which I was very, very grateful for. And I've really fallen in love with that. But I'm just going to apply the same tools that I used in iMovie and with Keynote, and just transfer those ideas over to Final Cut Pro, because it's a little bit less clunky and a little bit less of a process to. I don't have to export and import. And then just before all this hit, Kris here was very helpful in getting me started into using Luma. And I was really liking my experience in Luma. And unfortunately, I never did that on the iPad. I put that to rest when everything hit, and I had to focus on cranking out material for school. But I was really liking what I was seeing and experiencing on Luma. So I'm interested to also play around with that some more once this is settled down.
Wow, I had no idea that Final Cut was free for 90 days. I gotta check that out. But yeah, for those who haven't seen my videos, and I'm sure that Kris is gonna show everyone later on, but I have a different approach to it. I have more of a circular format. I haven't quite come up with an inventive, clever name for it. But instead of it being linear, I have it kind of in the form of a circle. And that was just to emphasize the cyclical nature of how music works. I'm not sure if any of your private students or any of your students are experiencing the same issues, but I've noticed a steep decline in my students' attention to rhythm. So it's gotten to a point where my students, some of them can't clap along to a song in rhythm. So I have thought about, trying to compare it to a clock, how a clock is always tick tock. There's never a time where it slows down or speeds up. And I wanted that to be communicated in the chord charts. So I have it in a way to where it's, it's like a clock, but instead of the numbers, they'll have chord symbol. Again, you're going to see it. But my process and my software that I use is Logic Pro 10. And I use that to either slow things down or to take it up or take it down a key or chop out a solo or to make it shorter. I try to keep it no more than 3 minutes to keep it short and sweet. Once I get the song the way that I like it, I'll graph it out using a program called Omnigraffle. It comes free with the Mac. It's similar to Photoshop, but not as powerful. But it's a great program. It's simple. It's about my speed. And that's where I put the chords, and that's how I kind of graph things out. And then once I get it in Omnigraffle, then I convert it to iMovie and do all the transitions there. I use some Keynote. I'm not sure if you heard that as well. But again, now that I know that Final Cut Pro is free for 90 days, I might convert iMovie to Final Cut Pro because that would be a big upgrade.
Now, Wesley, before you go any further, what do you use for your actual chord diagrams?
What do I use? Oh, well, again, I use it in Omnigraffle, and I just did everything by hand. I, did all the lines. I did the fretboard diagrams. I grabbed a circle and put it on the diagram, put all the finger numbers, and yeah, it was a very tedious process. So I'm welcome to some suggestions on how to streamline that, so I'm not taking 2 days to make one video. One video. So yeah.
I think the rest of us all use the font.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot to raise my hand.
Gotcha.
Chris?
Yes, I did forget to mention that the majority of the graphics that I use, I get from Little Kids Rock, which is free. And they have like build your own charts, and I just copy and paste that into the PowerPoints. And but I'm also starting with the Luma. I'm starting to use the font as well.
And just so you know, Wesley, there's a place called ukefarm.com, and they sell an actual font that is a ukulele chord font, and that's what I think the rest of us use or have adapted. And that service has been in and out in around. I think it's around right now, though. I think he's back, but the creator died and his son took over, and it's been a question of whether it's online or not. And had lots of teachers contact me saying the font's not there, and well, we'll figure it out. But so let's. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying that, is that part of my quirkiness is that I like to have the freedom and the flexibility to color coordinate things together. So I can go to the fonts or I can go wherever, but I like it to be kind of a themed oriented. So, if it's like a song from Hawaii, I would love to have a pineapple somewhere integrated with that chord diagram. Just, something to keep it fun. So, but it is a little tedious. So if I can streamline that process, then I'll definitely check into that.
All right, on to Rachel.
Well, I watched Kris's video on how to make a play along using LumaFusion, but I didn't have a really good iPad at the time. And even though I have got a Mac Mini in the house, I much prefer PC. So I did some research and found Filmora and sort of basically transferred what Kris was saying about LumaFusion onto Filmora. I use the Uke Farm, because it's Chordette, isn't it? The actual font. And I do enjoy playing with graphics as well. So that's how I make the play alongs. Sometimes they can take, I think the shortest amount of time is taking me is maybe 3 hours start to finish. The longest has been about a day and a half, I think. So that's how I make my play alongs, but I'm enjoying learning more with Filmora now, doing the other type of the tutorials and the reviews and things. So it's a brilliant learning curve. Fair play.
I think my first experience was one of Dr. Jill's videos, and my brothers are artists. They a lot of marketing background, so they had Photoshop and a lot of different programs. So my first attempt was using Photoshop to do a lot of the graphics, and then doing kind of the Keynote PowerPoint kind of thing with it. And I found that very frustrating for me. And then I ran into Kris's videos and became a LumaFusion junkie, addicted to it. I do all my videos, even the stuff I do for school, I do on LumaFusion. Using the fonts from Uke Farm, and doing a lot of the same process that Kris does. I think Kris and I have talked a lot back and forth. He'll do something and I'll ask him what he does, and I'll do something and he asks me what I do. So it's kind of a cool relationship that we have with all the people that are on here. We're all pretty generous and open about how we do things, and are willing to share knowledge, which I find extremely awesome, that we can collaborate together. But that's a lot of the process that Kris does is what I do. I create a Spotify playlist and I'll put songs that I'm interested in doing. My students will send me suggestions, and I start building that playlist up, and that's where the material comes from. And I just go through the process. I can usually pull out a video in probably an hour and a half, because a lot of the stuff on LumaFusion I've already made. So a lot of the boxes, a lot of the graphics are already set. So it's just changing the lyrics, changing the background, and then, timing it, which is pretty easy in LumaFusion, especially with the newer updates. So I can usually pull them out in less than 2 hours, usually about an hour and a half.
So I use Audacity for editing audio, changing tempo, changing key, cutting out random verses where there's some not school appropriate words, whatever we need to do to edit the audio. After Audacity, for most of my play alongs that have like a still background, I go into PowerPoint to make the videos. And if you see one of my videos and it has 4 chords with an arrow moving, it's actually 4 separate slides. Each one has the arrow in a different spot. So, a song might have 120 slides in it or whatever. But there's a lot of copy and pasting with those. I used to put the lyrics in the PowerPoint. More recently, I've started to add the lyrics as a layer in Video Pad Editor, which is how I actually edit the video when I put the things together. I have some videos that are over top of a lyric video. And if that happens, I don't use PowerPoint at all for those. I drop the chord progression directly into the Video Pad Editor using just the ukefarm font directly in that editor. That makes it go a lot quicker, but it doesn't let me have a little thing dancing over it. So if you've seen my videos where they won't change size when it's time to play that one, that means I've edited that directly in the video editor and not in the PowerPoint. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. At first, I was real excited about having their live videos in the background. And I actually heard back from the students that while they love to sing along and watch it, they found it distracting to play along, so that they actually preferred it, coming from teenagers, that they actually preferred it to have the more static background. Another thing that I really do, and no one else has mentioned this with the timing, I love to break down the math. So if I'm doing a song and, the chord progression has the chord changing every 2 beats, and that 2 beats I find out takes like 3.847 seconds, then I will automatically set all my slides to 3.874 seconds, and the whole song can instantly line itself up like that. So other creators, do any of the rest of you use the math to figure it out, or do you really go through each chord change and do it by feel?
I do something that I just count, and as I'll get to,
yes. For newer recordings. I'm sorry if I'm talking to you, Rachel. I can't hear you talking anyway, so I'm sorry if you're talking. I'm sorry. Yes, for newer recordings where they're laying down their music as with a click track, so it's going to be exact. It's not a lot of ebb and flow unless it's that style. Older style, I found even though with Lime and the Coconut, that one gave me fits. That was one of my first videos. It gave me so many fits. It was never exactly the same. It was just off by a skosh, and I'm too type A personality to let that go. So it depends also what recording and time frame when it was recorded that I'm using.
Yeah.
So Rachel?
Sorry, the way I do it is I just got to count, because it's in very small sections in Filmora. Depending on how many chords are in the verse or the half the verse, I've got to count it out, and then it's literally every time I'm counting to get it bang on, and inevitably sometimes they'll match up and it'll copy and paste nicely, but a lot of the time I'm tweaking all the way through. But hey ho, that's the way it is.
How about Wesley? How do you do your timing?
Manually, unfortunately. So I just drag that one slide until it feels about right. I'll nudge it over, nudge it back. But yeah, doing the math just makes more sense. It's like, when you hear Daniel say that, I'm like, duh, how come I just didn't do that? So I'll definitely tighten up my my workflow here, but I'll definitely do that.
Like
Dan?
Kris said, Kris is that way. Like Kris said, it does not work on songs where they did not use a click track originally.
That's true.
So just if you do the math, just be ready for it to not work for every song.
Yeah, very true.
Andy, how about you?
I do some of the math on LumaFusion. It goes by frames. So I look at however many frames it takes for that beat to go, and then I can usually just kind of copy and paste that frame rate.
Yeah, I actually visually look at there's the audio waveform, and then I'm also dealing with a time, because I do a dip before the chord changes. So I'm always a certain amount, about 0.8 so basically about a 16th of a second before the next chord change. So there's some math in there, but not much that's involved with that. Now, here's a weird question for you, and I don't even know if you'll have an answer for this one, but I'm curious for all of you, which is, do you have a favorite play-along video that you've created so far that you think of all of yours is one that you're most proud of? So let's start with Dan. I'll start that way to Dan.
My favorite one for me, and my students can't play it because it's too hard for them, and I don't make many things that they can't play, but Memory from Cats. I don't know why I liked liked the song when I was young. I like the song now. It's just really fun to play along. It doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean my kids use it at school. It does not have a lot of views, but I like it.
Andy?
For me, it's the traditional Spanish stuff that I've done. It's just the same, just like Dan. My kids cannot play it, but it's some of the stuff that I grew up listening to. My dad used to play it all the time, and so it just got a special place in my heart. And so those are kind of my favorite ones that I've done.
Rachel?
My favorite play along is the only one I've ever done just for me, which was the Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture. So I love it. Nobody else looks at it, it's only me. Probably the one I like seeing the most is Mamma Mia, ABBA, just because I got quite a nice tab and chords and everything else in there. But yeah. So some of the first ones I did, I look back now and go, ooh. But yeah.
Same.
Wesley?
Well, I have a one that I'm most proud of, and then one that is my favorite. So the one that I'm most proud of is the one that I just released on your Facebook page, the Jason Mraz, Look for the Good. And I like that one because it looks good. I got all the transitions the way that I want it. It sounds great. But the one that's my favorite is Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. And the reason why is because it spans 3 different keys. It has 14 unique chords, and it works its way up the neck of the ukulele. So it's not your typical C, A minor, F. So it's a bit of a challenge. So I really, I'm really happy about that one.
Kris?
I think the one I'm most proud of was my first Luma video that I did was on the soccer, the Jonas Brothers soccer song. Just because it took a long time for me just to learn the app and learn the process through your guidance. Thank you. But I worked pretty hard on that. But the kids just ate that up. They really enjoyed that. But my favorite, it's a tie between House of Gold, just because I love the song and the ukeness of it. But also the ability to incorporate some modern band ideas and principles and add a cajon if I wanted to, or put some kids on keys and build beyond the ukulele experience. House of Gold, and now of course I'm blanking. Million Dreams is and that one's more difficult, so my kids can't really play that, but I just personally like that song. So.
Yeah, I think my favorite is my original version of Lost Boy that actually is actually still one of my more popular, even though I released it. But I also will occasionally put little what are they called, Easter eggs in songs. So like one that I'm not sure anybody picked up is I did the Yoda song, because of The Mandalorian not too long ago. And at the end of the video, I made it so that Yoda actually disappears into the air, kind of like he did in the movie. And no, I don't think anybody caught it, but it's just there and it's hidden at the end and nobody has said anything. But I like to do little things like that. Or I'll do the plain white tees and I'll use a white t-shirt as a transition image, for their songs or things like that. So I like putting those little things in. Now, here's another kind of interesting question is, do you have any advice for people that use your videos? So, I can think about a couple things that I would say, but I'm kind of curious what you would say first. So we'll go back down with Kris and work our way around.
My biggest advice I give about using my videos is that it's not a replacement for the teacher. It's basically duplicating you, and that while they are playing along and working on the song, that you can be more free to move about that room and actually have more one-on-one contact with the students and be able to help them with their fingers. Not anymore right now in this world that we're in right now, but it can free you up to move about the room and assist students who are struggling, who may have been falling between the cracks before in a more traditional delivery style. And that's I think has had the most profound impact for me. So that's what I encourage other teachers to do, as well as when they're using the videos to break up their kids into groups, and you're responsible for the F chord, you're responsible for the G chord, you're responsible for the E7, like break them up into chord groups, and they're going to watch those chord changes like a hawk. Like, here it comes, man, here it comes, boom, got it. But that's another way that I encourage people to use any play along video, is not just turn it on and go and hope for the best, but to stop it, pause it, break it down, split up the class. There's a lot of different implementation techniques that you can use.
Well, I'm glad I am going second, so no one takes my answer. Yeah, there's a speed function on YouTube that no one uses. It's so convenient. It's right there. There's like a little gear icon. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. You can do all these things with it. So yeah, you don't have to play it at the song speed. You have the flexibility to slow it down to whatever speed that you can play it at. Secondly, is you don't have to play the exact chord that you see on any one of my videos. Like if you see a D minor 7, you can play a D minor. It's still going to sound great with it. So you don't have to take every single chord literally. Yeah, I do pick my chords for a very specific reason, but you know, to each their own. You know, if you like the D minor instead of a D minor 7, go for it. You know. So that's probably what I would say, is to slow it down. You can even pause the video, rewind it. Yeah. So just take advantage of the technology that YouTube has laid out there for us.
I think for other teachers, don't be frightened to push the kids in school. They always amaze me. I'll say, oh, shall we try this? Oh, it's a bit hard. We won't do. Oh, we'll have a go. And very often the students will be playing things much faster than you think they will. But if you're using the play-alongs as a bit of fun, don't expect just to be able to play them the first time through. The whole point is practice. The number of comments I have saying, what's the strumming pattern? How many times should I play that drum pattern? Well, the whole point of the little is to tell you when to play it. You don't need to count how many times you're strumming it. Just play the song.
I try to share with the teachers to break it down just like any lesson. For the teachers that use, the videos, I would never, as a choir teacher, I would never just hand the kids a song and say, okay, let's sing it and go for it. It'd be rare unless we're, like sight reading something, sight singing. So break it down. So whatever chords I'm working on, I try to find songs that, or videos that have those same chords. And then I break it down. We work on the chords, we work on the rhythm, we work on the strumming. Then we put it together. Then we can play it, to the video, whether we slow it down first and then speed it up. But, don't be afraid to break it down, just like everybody else has said, break it down into sections. And just like you would a lesson, and just teach it little by little and then just put it all together when you need to do it.
So if you're using my video not as a teacher, if you're just a person that's out there, let's playing ukulele, learning on your own, you need to find songs that you can be successful with and have achievement with. In the classroom, we do a lot of songs in the beginning that are one chord songs that let us really just focus on the strumming pattern. And then we move to 2-chord, 3-chord songs. So don't just jump right in as like a new person trying to learn on your own with, oh, I'm going to learn how to play Memory from Cats because we heard Dan say earlier he liked that one. Not a good way to start. Now for teachers that are using it in the classroom, like, yeah, everything the others just said, you still need to teach. This is not a replacement for you teaching. You need to know what your sequence of learning is. My videos do not talk about strumming patterns. Within my room, I differentiate. I have some kids that, they might strum once per chord. I have strum kids that might strum a quarter note pattern. And then I have some that I'll show them, oh, for this song, the more advanced kids, we're going to do like, chop, poo, chop, poo, chop, poo, chop, poo, chop, poo, chop, poo, maybe do some muting, whatever. So we really differentiate, and I give them before each song what their options are for that song. The other thing that I want to do, and Kris later is going to put the the web link right here, right over top of Hawaii, that says uloop.io. Yes, Wesley talked about how YouTube can slow you down. Uloop does that as well if you want to, but it also lets you loop a segment. So let's say that there's a chord change 27 seconds in, 32 seconds in, and you want to work 27 through 32. You set that up in your uloop.io. It's a separate website. You pop in your YouTube link, you set up that loop, and it'll keep repeating that for you. So if you're practicing a song, because in the end, it's not just, always beginning to end. It's, let's practice it too. If you're practicing a song and there's a struggle spot, sometimes a separate website will really help you. And that's what I've got on how to use the videos.
Yeah, I think you guys covered all the things that I would have said. Oh, I'll get Kris in just a second here. The other thing that I ironically had to tell a person was follow the boxes in mine. When they change is when you change. Because they were kind of freaking out, like, I don't know when to change. It's like, well, you watch when it changes, and that's when you change. And that sounds really sarcastic, but it's not. It's actually true. It's like there's a dip and go with mine that when you see it start to fade, it's time to change. And if you change the chord, you'll be in the right spot when the next one comes. So, Kris, you had something else you wanted to add?
And just to piggyback on Dan with the approximation, embrace the approximation, is I even do a demonstration with 3 kids, like one who's a little more advanced in her skills, one who's right in the middle, one who's just emerging. And you're just going to play once a measure. And then I have them all start to layer on their each individual strumming. I'm like, to point out to the class, I'm like, see how it still sounds good? It doesn't matter which level you choose to challenge yourself at. It's going to sound great together. And and also tell them, like, so what grade am I giving the kid who's playing once a measure? They're going, no, 50? I'm like, no, he gets 100. What am I giving the kid who's playing the medium level? Oh, 80? No, he gets 100. What am I giving the kid who's playing the most advanced stuff? So to get to the point, like, it's not about mastery and ability. It's about playing and performing. And I have one more thing, but I'm blanking on it now. But it was something about Dan, but I'll let you go.
Well, Dan has something he wants to say.
And if we're layering and I have an advanced kid, there's always finger picking. It's not just strumming patterns. Yeah. So teachers out there, when you have that more advanced kid, let them finger pick. Let them, get into a pattern and really enhance us. Now,
on a related note, the next question is a fun one, which is, do you have any frustrations or pet peeves when it comes to making videos, the comments you receive, or anything else you want to throw in there? So, Kris, let's start with you.
You're starting with me because you can see me laughing, and I have got something to say about this. Almost every video, I don't get it. What's the strumming pattern? Now, not all of my videos start with strumming pattern, but I try to put the beginning now. And it lays it out, and I'm starting to lay down a demonstration of it, and I'll still get a comment. What's the strumming pattern? I don't get it. I'm trying to play this, but I can't play it because I don't know what the strumming pattern. It's at the beginning of the video. So that's my biggest pet peeve. I guess kind of along the same way. Well, how the chords go? How's the song go? I don't know. It's there. Play the chords. Don't strum. Don't strum. Strum one time. Do it. Anyway, it's just funny. What's the strumming pattern? Please go to 10 seconds and find out. Anyway, there you go.
All right, Wesley, how about you?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of those strumming patterns as well. Again, I have it posted right at the very beginning, and I always let them know in the comments, or in the that one like text box area, that if you want to do something different, you're free to do so. But probably the thing that really annoys me the most is I'll get asked to do it for baritone ukulele or for guitar. I'm like, well, this is a ukulele channel, so I'm probably not going to do it for guitar. And for baritone, you can just move it up a fifth or fourth, and and there you go. I've had some people ask me to write the tabs for them, note for note, exactly the way it is that it is in the recording. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, but but thanks for asking. But yeah, I do get that quite a bit.
Rachel, how about you?
The most frustrating thing of the process is when you've just spent hours making a video to find it's blocked worldwide. And it doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it's a shame because of the work that's been put in, and normally it's always a good song as well. My answer to the comments about strumming is ignore them because somebody else will answer it in the end.
Yeah.
But the comments that it's not that I dislike, but that they annoy me when somebody goes, they actually write dislike. And I normally answer them going, well, why do you dislike it? I dislike the song. And I'm thinking, why are you watching a ukulele song that you don't like? Get off the channel. So, but no, it's just when they get blocked. That's the most frustrating thing for me.
Andy, how about you?
I have to agree with everybody. Usually the strumming patterns annoy me the most. And I just think of it as when I was first learning how to draw. I had a friend that drew out the shape of an eagle that I wanted to draw, and the teacher was like, well, if you can't actually draw the shape of the eagle, you can't actually draw the eagle. And so to me, it's like, okay, you have to learn something. I'm giving you the lyrics. I'm giving you the chords. I'm giving you everything else. The least you can do is try to learn how to do some of the strums. And then lately, it's been, for some reason, it's been different people keep telling me the videos are too fast. And I'm like, okay, I tell them about the little gear, and that's what we know about the gear. So I don't know if they just, I'm like, I didn't write the song. I didn't produce the song. I have nothing to do with the tempo other than, I made the video, and you can use a little gear icon to slow it down. But that's happened the last few months, I guess, because more people are watching the videos. A lot of the videos are too fast.
Hey, Dan, how about you?
So I've never allowed commenting on any of my videos, and I don't allow it to show the likes or dislikes, and I don't go into Video Editor to see what the likes or dislikes are. So I don't get that type of feedback that apparently frustrates some of us do. I do ask my students because, I learned how to create these with students that I was working with and song requests they had. So, I did get feedback from them along the way. And we'll just have a little written survey. I'll be like, this is not a quiz. I just, they know I'm a video creator and I want to make them better. So what I make for my students and just share with the world or anyone else that wants to have it. I did make the first ukulele play along for bass or bass ukulele. That's because Kris requested me to do it. It was the Seven Nation Army song, and it really did lend itself to it. I have taken a couple songs where I already have all the timing figured out and thrown in baritone ukulele chords. I have a good friend who got a job at a school that just has baritone ukuleles. But going back to most everything I do is for my students, and none of my students are using baritone ukulele. So I don't put a lot of time into making baritone videos. But, if you, in one way, if I already have the song created and the timing's figured out, adding the baritone is not a big deal. For my other creators, when I do that, I do not have the baritone font. If you ever notice my baritone videos, there's the uke chords, and then there's this banner over it, and then the new chord letter name is in it. It's the regular ukulele chords. I just transposed it in my brain, put what it needs to be, and put the other label over top of it. So just kind of a backwards way to do it, but it works. So no, I don't have a lot of pet peeves because I just kind of do what I do for myself and my students, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, last year I had a chance to visit with Dr. Reese on one of these sort of calls, and I go back and I listen to that all the time because I was schooled quite a bit in that interview, and not in a way where I was being, talked down to, but it was really deep. I mean, it went into a lot of issues of why we do what we do and how we do it, and I left there convicted that I was already doing baritone versions of everything too, but I left there convicted that I yet needed to do another version for people that didn't need the chord shapes anymore. And that really slowed me down in the process. And then that question, which I don't know if you guys have seen it, but people don't even ask, what is the strumming pattern? They just say strumming pattern. It's all lowercase. There's no sort of question mark or period. So you could read strumming pattern 8,000 different ways. That gets under my skin. And especially when I've made a tutorial about how to strum. which kind of drives me crazy. And then the other part that drives me crazy is when I get people that will come on and tell me that my baritone song is wrong because they're not paying attention that says baritone right across the front. That drives me crazy. And then the other one that gets me is when somebody writes in and says, why did you make a play along of this? There's no ukulele in the original version. It's like, it's a play along, people. It's a play along. So, you know, whatever. So those are the things that drive me a little crazy. Now, here's a fun one. Oh, Rachel, go ahead.
I've just got to add what Andy was saying. The number of times people tell me, Riptide, it's faster than the original. And I'm like, it is the original. And they're like, but it's faster than the original. So like, no, it is the original. I don't know.
Now, here's a kind of fun one for you. What is next on your list to create or publish? And I guess, Dan, we'll start with you because you've got your hand up from the last one. So we can roll those both in.
Okay. Going back to the last one, it's not even a pet peeve, but the conversation kind of went to how videos are made differently. I kind of keep reiterating that a lot of what I make is for my beginners. They start knowing 1 chord, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a lot of times I will simplify chords, and you know, that means it might not be right on purpose, but it's close enough to make it fit. So yeah, we can agree and to call it something different or whatever. And you know, an E minor is a C major 7 without the C on the bottom and things like that. So if you see it simplified and it sounds strange, funny to you, well, it might work in the big picture. If you play ukulele without the accompaniment, it might not work, but I've simplified things on purpose. Okay, that was from our conversation. What are we supposed to do next? So I'm currently not having like a list of the next song. My most recent one was for a song I produced with the virtual band to say thank you to people. And I created the ukulele play along for that so that people could, you know, be a part of that virtual band. And, you know, as we're in this virtual setting and I'm teaching virtually, I'm not really sure, but it's probably going to be project-based where it's something for a song I'm producing that, you know, other people give them a chance to be a part of it.
All right, Andy, how about you?
I was actually thinking about a song this morning. Came across my Facebook feed called Together. So I haven't even looked to see if anybody's done it or not. But it's like King and Country, Tori Kelly, Kirk Franklin. Seems like a 4 or 5, you know, chord song. But I'm just starting to look at that. And, you know, of course, I'll look through my Spotify stuff too to see what songs I have on there. But you know, this morning that song just kind of hit me and thought that'd be cool to do.
All right, Rachel, how about you?
Oh, I'm ready. Can you see that?
Oh, geez.
Wow.
All right. I'm always going back and forth to my list, and then I add things to it, take it away. I try to do it so that it's something old, something new, something. So I'm mixing it up all the time, and then when I get one block, then it sort of pulls me out of it. My next one, I'm planning. I just thought it was appropriate considering I did the quarantine song by were they 21 Pilots the other day. So there's always ones on the list to do.
All right, how about Wesley?
I was just having a little discussion with Daniel in the chat. But yeah, I am attempting to reach a younger demographic with my YouTube channel. So I'm actually going to be doing some video game songs. So I'm going to be doing some Tetris, some Angry Birds, some Super Mario, you know, just some fun songs that the younger kids can really cling to. I'm actually also going to start doing some hymns, not so much in the chord play along format, but I'm actually going to have the tab because they're all finger picking style. So I'm going to be doing the hymns and the video game songs next.
Okay, Kris, how about you?
I belong to the Little Kid Rock group, where I put a lot of my requests out, and I had to pull it up to look to remind myself of where I'm at in the process. My next ones that I have on my list are No Roots by Alice Martin and Rule the World from Walk Off the Earth are my next 2 videos I have queued up in the request list. And after that, I'm going to be coming back to your list that you've made, Kris, and start trying to crank out some more.
All right. I'm trying to transfer over. I'm trying to do 5 things at once here. While doing this, I wanted to add this to find a better way to get people to make suggestions. And this is what I've added lately is a website called TriCiter that allows you to upvote suggestions. So if anybody else wants to tap into that, you certainly can. People are just putting suggestions down, and I know I've tried the Google. Just thought that maybe I'd throw that in there too. I also, while we've got her here, Rachel, this probably won't appear until I'll get to you a second, Dan. So Rachel,
I used the form.
You used the form? Awesome. But what I wanted to say, Rachel, is when this actually podcast is published, Ukulaliens will have already hit 50,000 subscribers at that point. So just wanted to say congratulations. It's in advance right now, but you're going to be there within 2 days.
I know, it's shocking. I can't believe how many views and subscribers we've had over the last month. It's only been 6 weeks since I hit 40,000. So I'm frantically trying to come up with some kind of a giveaway plan or something after your outstanding effort. I'll come up with something, I think. But
I was really surprised, by the way. I only had 100 people try for a ukulele, which was something. I thought there'd be more people than that, but it's okay. It's all right. Now, I thought this would be kind of fun to do with all of us here. Is I did a tally. I went on everybody's site, including Dr. Reese and Dr. A, who aren't here with us. And here's the list of the top 10 play-alongs.
I think I know number 1. I know who number 1 is.
We're gonna find out. And actually, there is if you take 2 of them together, there actually is a clear number 1 above the number 1, if that makes sense. So I'll show you guys this. Number 10 would be the one that I mentioned was my favorite. Was Lost Boy. It has 1.1 million views. And Wesley, this isn't fair to you because you've just recently started doing this. So
Yep.
If we come back in a year, we might be doing this different. Number 9 is This Is Me. That's another one of mine. Number 8 is Lava by Andy. So lots of play along on that. Number 7 is Alleluia by Dr. Reese. And what's interesting is how many people have either they love that song or they hate it. I don't know if you've met those people. Number 6 is Count on Me by Dr. Reese, 1.4 million. Number 5 is I'm Yours by Rachel and Ukulaliens. And then number 4 is Rewrite the Stars. For some reason, that one took off on me. I have no idea why. Then look at this. Number 3, I'm Yours by Dr. Reese. Rachel, yours Somewhere Over the Rainbow, 2.2 million views. And then the number 1 is All of Me by Dr. Reese with 2.4 million views. However, if you take I'm Yours and you put together Rachel's views and Dr. Reese's views, that has over 3.6 million views altogether. That's crazy. So I thought you guys would like to see that. Any thoughts about those?
I like I'm Yours, I'm not going to lie.
I was sure it was Andy's Lava. I was convinced that Lava was number 1. That's a great list, though. It's a great list.
Yeah.
And actually, Dan, this goes to you for a second. You had said, what are we seeing differently in the types of videos that people are watching and so forth in this time? And I think as I'm watching my own videos, which ones are the top, every now and then I just like to go and look. It's the same videos. It's just more of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Now, one final question.
My channel is very unique.
Oh, Wesley, go ahead.
I have a question about the All of Me. Is it the All of Me, da, 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 or is it the John Legend version?
John Legend.
Oh, okay. That's surprising because that seems to be more of like a R&B song, and it's I haven't really connected with that audience yet. They didn't seem to translate into ukulele all that much. So that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Rachel.
Who's going to do Tutti Frutti first then?
I
Hey,
thought about it.
I did.
Wait, what did she say? I can't hear her. I want to
She
know.
said, "Who's going to do Tutti Frutti first?"
She wanted.
Oh,
I did.
let me write that down. I'll write it down.
What's the big Bill Withers one? Ain't No Sunshine. I did that the day he passed away, and it got blocked.
Now, the final question, I think, just for today, because we're already at an hour of broadcasting, and after we cut out a couple things, it'll be down to an hour. So, do you have any advice for people that want to start making play-along videos, if there's anybody out there? I know we started a Facebook group with the idea of fostering some more people, and really, we haven't fostered anybody, to my knowledge, that's now making videos, unfortunately. Wesley, you just started making videos on your own, you know?
Mhm.
So what do you think? What's some advice we can give to some people?
I taught a PD session on how to do it. Oh, go ahead, Wesley. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say is that, I am the new guy and I don't feel like I'm in a position to give insight on how to get started because, obviously I'm still learning, but I would just say is to pick music that you connect with. It can be tempting to pick the cool, the newest song, the newest Justin Bieber song for the click easy views. But, I personally, want to make songs that I connect with, that my students connect with. So that's probably the only thing that I would really say is to, be authentic to who you are.
Okay. So I have taught professional development to other music teachers on how to create these videos. I have Jennifer Canales that has started to make some. I have Dennis Figgs that's looking into making his first one. He hasn't made it yet. He has it half made. I also have a student that I taught, just an 8th grader, that has created and published a couple of videos himself. So I really just think me modeling, like, hey, there's a human in your town that's doing this. It's not just all these people from, who knows where. That I now have 3 other people in my area that have been inspired to start making.
I also did a PD here locally, and several of the teachers during this break have started sending me videos of them using LumaFusion to make videos. And so their next thing is, okay, now we want to try to do some of the ukulele stuff. So be encouraged that there are people coming. And then I would say just do it. I think a lot of people are just afraid. They're not sure. And I would just say just try it. It gets addicting. And once you get into it, I mean, you're into it.
Rachel?
I just agree with what Andy says. Just go for it. My very first one, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, was dreadful. It got better over the years. And, at the end of the day, if you're making them, especially if you're a teacher, and you're making them for your kids, you know what you're aiming at, just go for it.
Kris?
I'll say make sure that you're familiar with the software that you're choosing to use and give yourself some grace. There's a learning curve to the easiest software. There's a learning curve to the hardest software. Give yourself grace and don't try to do too much at once. Try something simple like a 4-chord song where you don't have to manipulate a lot of images for the first time. And just to get out there and try and do it. But and I apologize, I forget who said it about do what I think it was you. I'm sorry, I forget who said it about don't just buy into what's popular. I got into this to help my students after I attended a PD with Jill Reese at NISMA. And as I go around and travel to different conferences and present about making these videos, the biggest piece of advice I have for them that I usually always end with, like, just get out there and try it and do what works. Like the music that my students listen to in Whitney Point is very different than the music students listen to 20 miles down the road in urban Binghamton or 40 miles up the road in urban Syracuse. So because I wanted to cater to my students and their needs and their desires with a sprinkling of what I enjoy as well, to show them what I listen to and what I enjoy, and to help expand their musical taste as well, and expose them to music they may not have listened to on their own. So there you go.
All right. Well, it's been awesome to visit with all of you. I know that I wanted to keep it around an hour, so we should really wrap this up. I just want to let you know that I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I think Rachel has something to say. So
the quickest of questions, and you've got like 10 seconds each to answer it. Your JF comedy moment. What was your first play along that you discovered, and what was it? Go. Oh, mine was Surfing USA on a Tuesday night the day before Uke Club. Go.
Mine was The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
So, Rachel, the question was the first one that you yourself found?
Yeah. What was the first play along you discovered on YouTube and went, ah?
Oh, so Kris, the question is, what's the first video that you ever saw as a play along that made you be interested in using it? Yeah, everybody just answering
okay.
it.
Surfing USA by Jill Reese.
Okay, that was Rachel's too. Andy?
I think mine was I'm
Nice.
Yours, Joey.
I can't hear.
I really don't remember what song it was. I just remember being so shocked that that existed because it completely changed the way I could approach teaching a group of students.
Yeah.
Mine was definitely Shake It Off by Dr. Reese. And I went into it kicking and screaming because I was sure that the ukulele had to be taught like a traditional instrument. And I was upset that it wasn't teaching notation and it wasn't teaching music literacy. And I did not want to do it. And then I saw that my students responded to it and my entire platform had to be changed. And then it went from using some of Dr. Reese's to making my own to then encouraging others to do it. And actually follow up on the previous discussion about getting people to do it. I know that Dr. Reese actually has her students make a ukulele play along as part of their coursework at the college level, which is pretty cool too. So if you've seen, there's a newer music educator named Grace Dobler, who's also making some play along videos. She only puts out a few occasionally here and there, but she's one of Dr. Reese's former students. So it's kind of neat that that is going too. So again, I just appreciate all of you. Some of you have actually become personal friends. Wesley, we don't know each other yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you all better in the future. And actually, Dan, I think this is the first time we've actually directly talked too, one-on-one, if so to say. We're as close as we can be in this time of quarantine. So, all right, any final thoughts before we go?
Thank you, Kris, for everything you do. Without you, we wouldn't all be here now. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys too. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would second that. Thank you for all of you for all that you're doing, and for I know the time that it takes and the sacrifice that it takes, and thank you all for all that you do.
Thank you everyone for everything that you're doing. I use all of your materials and many others as well because if my students are asking for it, I'm going to look for your stuff and use it. And it's important to reach our students. And I just want to close with, Rachel, it looks like the back of your room is getting a little crowded. So if you need to get that purple uke vase off the wall, I'll give you my address. Oh, that's so pretty. They're so pretty.
She just did an unboxing of the light purple one just a few days ago.
Nice.
I haven't played bass in a long time properly, and with these two, I've got to get back into ukulele now. So,
all right, Dan. Any final thoughts?
Just remember, we do it, or for those of us that are teachers, we do it for the kids. It's all about the students. So as much as we want to make music we love, remember we need to make music that they love as well.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining in on this COVID-19 group conversation. I don't know if we would have been able to pull this off if we weren't all trapped at home. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kris, for doing this. Thank you, Kris, for doing this.
Thank you, Kris.
And look for this to be published sometime next week. So, and to everybody that's listening, please check out all these different YouTube pages. I'll make sure that they're linked in the description of the YouTube channel, but otherwise in the show notes for the audio version, you'll be able to see and click on all their links. And anybody, if you have any links, I'm talking to the panel here, if you have any links you want me to share, please send them my way too, and I'll make sure that they show up in the show notes as well. All right. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you soon.